academic committee. Then we're going to put our non-agenda presentations up first and then agenda items right after that, just to make sure that we don't have to jump around and do 1 and 7 and 8, and we'll just go. We'll try real hard to make sure that we go in the right order. So
this is additional items?
This is the first one, number 1, non-agenda. We have Molly Weber and Emily Hoff. Hoff.
Every time.
We'll
have you trained.
Thank you.
She's going to be here for a while.
So, but they are our teachers from the junior high, and they wanted to talk to us a little bit about a mural. So, ladies.
So earlier in the summer, we received it, well, actually it was late in the summer,
Yes.
we received an email that one of our artists who've been around town had some time and wanted to come back and spend some time in one of the schools. So we jumped at the opportunity. So we are hopefully doing our first, but not only, mural painting at the junior high. Is someone controlling this for me? Like, how do I? Next slide, please. Randy here. Randy
is the man.
So we should be familiar with Ramiro. He is the artist that worked with Ben Franklin on the mural at the outdoor classroom. And we had the opportunity to go over and do a little in-servicing with him and learn how to do the application. But now we're going to get to do the entire process. So he's coming back. And he's been working with us and our students for the entire school year so far and getting ready. So next slide, Randy. Is that who's doing this, Randy? Okay. The top left slide, obviously you're familiar with that. We see that uptown all the time. The one beside it and the one below it are other murals that have been done at junior highs in different states. The one on the bottom right is kind of the one that we're hoping to get kind of a graffiti kind of a look to it. So it just depends on what he comes up with in terms of how he organizes the designs that he puts together. Okay, go ahead, Randy. So this is our location. Although we have beautiful facilities, gorgeous facilities at the junior high, they're a little industrial. So we're hoping to add some color to this space. So where the bulletin board or the whiteboard is right now, that's going to go away. And the mural will be placed there. And on either side of the cubby is about halfway down. That's how much we could get for our buck. So the ideas came from, go ahead and switch it, Randy. At the beginning of the school year, at our initial faculty meeting, Dr. Minnick and Mrs. Templeton asked us to come up with core values as a staff. So the list on the left is what the adults came up with, and on the right are the ones that our studio kids voted on and selected and then added to it. And honestly, I don't think they could have picked any better ones. I think they nailed it. That's exactly what we need in the cafeteria. So after we came up with a list, Randy, we researched a little bit, symbols and the meanings behind them and images that they could refer to in putting their designs together. So these are some of the initial images that we presented to them. So there's the one for kindness. Next slide, Randy, will be teamwork, I think. And then the last slide, of course, will be the positivity. And so then our last slide, Randy, is the second go around of the sketches that the kids came up with. They were kind of compiled and mailed almost immediately after this. This was a very interesting process. We gave them all the information and they started. And the first submission of sketches were a little emoji-like. So we put them up. We're like, okay, guys, this is our mural. And their response was, meh. That was the actual word they used. Like, you don't know about this. So we talked about it a little bit more. We guided them a little bit more. And they came back the next day and they had all these kind of ideas. We talked to them about tying the emoji ideas together and coming up with a full thought. So then we had them fill out little critiques, asking them different aspects. Do you see the themes? Are you seeing too much of one of the themes? How's the craftsmanship? What are you seeing too much of? And they got very specific, even to the point where there's too much yellow. So we did the critique. They submitted drawings one more time, and then they had to be rushed out Friday, because they were supposed to be due Friday. And of course, we were just a little bit late because we needed more time with the kids. So our artist has them right now, or no, tomorrow. He should get them tomorrow. And what he will do is compile them in one of the design formats that we showed you earlier and present them to us. And we'll take a look, see what we like, see what we want to tweak, what we want to change. And he'll keep doing that until we're happy with it, till we think we have something worthy of that space, because we're planning on it being there a while. And it is such a public space for us. And he will be coming to visit us at the end of January. I want to say the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, if that's a Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And he will spend the time with the kids and with us. We'll paint in our rooms for a couple of days on the polytap, and then we'll kind of section off the cafeteria and be applying it to the wall while the kids are eating their lunch. So that'll be kind of exciting. We'll be there during your lunch as well. So a little bit of entertainment. So that's what's going on at the junior high with our initiative to kind of change the visual culture of that space a little bit, make it a little bit more improved, a little more artsy.
Yeah. I just wanted them to have an opportunity to come and tell you what's going on in the buildings and how they took, a project like this and turned it into a very hands-on educational process and get a chance to show off some of the good work that they're doing. So anybody in?
Yeah, I know Ramon.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Ramiro.
Yeah, Ramiro, there, thank you. I got stuck. And he's really good with the kids.
Yes.
And he brings them in to help paint, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So he takes these things and it's a real, it's not him painting the wall.
Nope.
He kind of oversees it, but he gets so much enthusiasm. He was the first artist that stepped up for any of the Indiana murals. So the big woman on the wall, those kind of things. He was the force behind those. And then he's done some work for us in at Horace Mann.
He told us that he lives in New York, but he told us that he loves this area, and he even has an apartment here because he comes back so often. He loves being here, so I'm sure he'll give us good quality stuff. We're very excited.
Yeah, and he's so good with the kids.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's you couldn't have done any better.
What's the thought behind, is that an octopus?
It's a
Or what is
jellyfish.
that, or what is it?
Well, we're not exactly sure on that. That's kind of positivity or teamwork. But one of the things, I think one of the attributes, like sea life, is attributed to that kind of value. And so that might be it. Or they decided that a little bit of nature as well as Indiana kind of logo kind of things should be included to this as well. So, all ideas were accepted, and we sent them off to Ramiro with our thoughts about what the values were, and he'll kind of pull them together and decide which ones are more appropriate.
I love that you use those core values. That's really neat.
Oh, I think they're excellent ones, yeah.
That's great.
Any other questions? All right then.
Great, thank you.
Okay,
for coming.
thank you for coming.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for the work.
Thanks
I
so
appreciate
much.
it.
Come on over and at the end of
Absolutely.
January.
Can you film the process while you do it?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, Randy will come over and do it for us.
I'm sure we have the technology. I'm serious, it'd be nice to have a time lapse on that.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so now we're on to 2A.
Yes, sir.
Ta-da.
Yeah. We'll set this right here.
So, I'll begin with Area A. This is Area A right here. It's your gym, music room, and band room. That is probably the area that is the least complete. They've got heat in the building. They have it winterized to obviously keep the weather out and everything. This area of the building, they've got it roughed in. They've got drywall going on here. The gym has been laid out, worked out. Excuse me. The kitchen's pretty well roughed in. We're working on kitchen equipment with Jared. We've been working at that. They're doing some exterior framing here. The gym, the prefab building here, they're working on the soffit and fascia right now. The roof is done. The if you, about 23 foot up, 22 foot up, there is a Kale wall, which is a translucent panel. They have that all boarded in. It's, my understanding is that Kale wall will not be until end of December. So that's what we have going on here. Basically, still, the electricians are in there putting in conduit, finishing up some conduit and racks for wiring for the data wiring and stuff like that. Working on the data room, putting in some cement board in these restrooms here. The large restroom, the cement board's all done. I have finishers in there, or the contractor has finishers in there. They're starting to finish that. Everything, all the piping's been inspected as far as we can go right now. There's gonna be some more piping, like the gas line's been inspected and tested and everything like that. So when I say inspected, I should say tested. The water lines have all been tested here. In fact, the plumbers weren't even on site today because they're caught up to the contractor right now. I'll go back, but there's some questions I have. I'll circle back to that. And one of them is in this area. Area B, it's probably, Area D is the most complete. I would say the second most complete would be Area B. Basically, it's just classrooms. I have finishers in there. They're hanging lighting in these rooms here. One of the things I will mention is the lighting is fragile. You don't want to be hanging anything off of it. It is, I think they're going to be really nice once they get turned on and everything. We get permanent power. But one of the things you'll remember, you don't want to be hanging a lot of things off that lighting. It's not really designed for that. So the electrician may be aware of that. I wanted to mention that to everyone. So this area is pretty much done. They're doing some final wiring, pen nets in there, getting data wiring to the rooms and such. Area C is this area right here. This is your new addition for the admin area. A lot of work going on in this area. They're finishing some drywall in here in your entryway. They're doing a lot of painting in here. Oh, I should have mentioned there's a lot of painting done in these rooms here. They're done. Cabinets are put in here. They've got to fine tune it. Like they got to adhere the counters to the lockers, above the lockers and stuff. And on the inside of the rooms, there's desks and stuff. They can't adhere anything. It'll take about, they said, a week to 10 days to get everything climatized. And once they get everything climatized and it's used to the school temperature and everything, then they can start adhering countertops and stuff like that in these rooms. So they're pretty well done. No ceiling tile is in. A lot of the grid is in here for the ceiling tile. We have not had any above ceiling inspections yet. This area here is your admin area. A lot of these rooms have been painted. A lot of these rooms are like there's ceramic tile going into the bathrooms right here in this area. The tile finishers in there, finishing the bathrooms in the nurse's station. There's a bathroom here, a couple bathrooms here in the administrative area. They're working on them. A lot of the cabinetry has been put in. We do have temporary heat throughout the building. I did mention that. The Area C, they are finishing up some lighting, some terminating some power in here. And there's a janitor's closet. I'm upside down and backwards here, which I think is right in here somewhere. Anyhow, they were finishing up lighting in here, finishing up some wiring in there. That ceiling doesn't have any grid or anything, and it's going to be exposed. It's for storage and janitor. There's a slop sink and stuff in there. This area here, there's a data room. Over the weekend they worked. They cut the steps in. They're working on pouring them this week. The data room is going to be needing some sealer on the concrete because of the processors and stuff in there that if you don't seal the concrete, there'll be dust. So that'll be a change order coming your way. You'll need it for both data rooms, the sealer on the concrete. This area here is probably your most complete. Again, classrooms got grid in. They don't have any ceiling tile in, just grid. We have to have an above ceiling inspection done by the borough inspector, and also CJL has to inspect it before we can start putting ceiling tile in. Your control guys have been down here working, getting this area all wired and everything as far as it can go with regards to not having electric power. So they're getting everything ready so that we do get the switch gear in, they'll be ready to go. So they're starting here and they're working their way around the school this way towards the less finished area. But they've been in there setting and getting their controls wired, starting to program things. Area D is the southernmost area here. These rooms have been painted, grid works in. They've started putting the grid work on the outside edge. I'm sorry, they've got the grid in. The ceiling tile on the outside is being put in on the perimeter of the building, which is still okay for your above ceiling inspection. They've done some fire alarm work down here. Sprinkler fitters are all complete. They've done a preliminary test all the way through D and C. The sprinkler fitters are also done all the way through to here. When they were, the last they were here, I think was first week of November, they were as far as they could go. So the next time they come back, they will test the rest of this area and finish the rest of the sprinkler piping in area A. So that takes care of that. So I've been pushing them to test this stuff. So if something were to leak, we've done a preliminary test. We've tried to do a preemptive strike to make sure we don't have any issues with ruining drywall, carpets, et cetera. So, and they're going to do a preliminary pneumatic test in this area when they get area A finished. This area, again, back to D, this area is probably the most complete. We got one room down here. I don't know what you guys call it. We call it D20. Construction calls it D20. You guys may have a different number for it or name. This is the most southern room. There was a carpet guy in there today. They were looking at that, and that would be the room they're going to use as a model. Okay, that'll be one of the rooms they're going to model for the furniture and whatever you guys would want to take a look at. Playground. I put in my report the playground equipment is done. Swing sets, all that stuff is all done. The rubberized surface is complete. Blacktop is complete. There's a pavilion. There's a pavilion like right in here. I don't have it on the drawing. There's a pavilion right in here. It is about 90%. They're putting a roof on. They started putting a roof on it today, and it's shaped like an octagon. So it's a little complicated to put on, but they're cutting everything and make sure it's right. So anyhow, they've been working on that today. The basketball court, the blacktop for the basketball court is complete. There's a shed down here, which I can't reach, but anyhow, there's a shed down here. It is complete except for the garage door, and there's a roof goes on that. And I expect them, once they get done with the pavilion, they'll probably move to that shop or that shed for the, I guess you're going to put your tractors and stuff in there. And I think it does get some electric. There was a question that Jared asked me. There is going to be a gate here for a vehicle, 12-foot wide gate, and also there's a pedestrian gate over in here to get through. And Dave hooked me up with Mel's Tree Service. There is an area here down to this way. There's a retention pond, and there's a lot of brush growing into your property. So he got Mel to come over, and we cut that back about 3 or 4 feet. I did get permission from Specialty Tire to do that. They had no problem with it. So the gentleman putting the fence in is going to be here. My understanding is Wednesday to start that project. So that's basically the report. I got a couple. Do you have any questions before I?
I have a question.
Yeah.
The inspection for this C?
Yes, ma'am.
When do you think the borough will be in?
For the above, see, he comes Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's whenever they're ready for it. They're not ready for an above ceiling inspection in C yet. But probably the first above ceiling inspection will be in D and probably B, because that's they're the most complete. That would be, and I talk with his name is John Witherwright. I talk with him on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Twice a week I talk to the man. It depends on what we have going and how busy he is, whether he comes or not. So I have a rapport with him, so there's no issue there. If we need him, they'll be there. I do have a contact with CJL. They come to the meetings, the job meetings every 2 weeks, so they keep them up to date also as to what's going on. So if they need to come sooner, then later they can be there. There is a gas valve. Anyhow, we added a bunch of new equipment for the school. You had 3 boilers there and I think 1 water heater. We've added several water heaters throughout the building and a bunch of rooftop units. And there's gas going to a lot of those units, natural gas, I should say. So we have the valve. We filled out, or I didn't do it. CJL did it. I asked them to look into that. They filled out an application to get a larger gas meter in there. So it will allow more gas to flow into the building to operate all your equipment. They've done a study and figured out how many BTUs they need for the school to operate all your equipment. And they're telling me they'll have it probably in December before Christmas. So that's good for us because we don't have permanent power probably to the end of January. So that'll set us up for that when we're ready. What else can I tell you? Playground set. That's yes, sir.
Larry, that 12-foot gate that you mentioned down there.
Down here, yes, sir.
Yeah, to the left of Area D there. Are they gonna change the curb on that? Because I don't think there's a driveway curb off of the street.
There
I
is.
think it's a regular curb.
There is a regular curb. We have been using that area for access to the building up until recently. So the curb isn't, if you think of like a bus curb like you'd have out here, it isn't that high. It might only be at the most 4 inches. So I drive.
It's not even that. I've driven across it.
It isn't hard to drive. It isn't like it isn't like 6 or 8 inches or higher. It's kind of low. So you would have access to I drive my car over it. That's a Volkswagen Jetta. It's kind of low to the ground. So no issues with me. So.
Okay.
And also where your parking lot is over here, I didn't think about this now that you mentioned that. There's also going to be an entrance in here to a parking lot on Wine, off of Wine, and then goes down to Washington. And that curb also is low. They have not cut that curb down. It really isn't high either. I come in and out that pretty easily. So. Any questions for me about that you have for the building or anything else?
So I understand there was some confusion on the size of the gym floor. Has that been?
Resolved?
Yes.
I believe so, yes. It's 74 by 50, and I think we have enough. There was concerns about, we kind of offset the gym because you have to offset the center of the court, let's call it, has to be offset due to the bleachers coming out. So we went over that with Anthony and some other folks with the school. Dan Roan was there to look at it to make sure it was going to meet his needs. One of the things I started to talk with Dan about was the minimum height that you guys needed for the gym to meet the PIAA requirements. There's a curtain that goes in between here, and we wanted to make sure when they put that curtain in, because the guy who was putting the curtain in had the wrong dimensions, so we brought him back out a couple of times to make sure the dimensions were correct, and we were able to meet the minimum height that is needed for your PIAA, which is 25 feet. So that was a process, getting that all lined up, and Jared and Rob, a lot of guys helped get us through that. So it's been a work in progress to get that.
So all the lines will be painted properly, the drawings reflect the lines and all that jazz now.
Well, the one shop drawing, and I'm sure Mr. Hurley will mention that, was a little bit off, and we overcame that because we started at, I'll be honest with you, Dan saw the dimensions and then it developed from there.
It was a moment of pain.
Yeah, because shouldn't there be 80, isn't it 84 feet, not 74?
74 is the
74 is
minimum
the-
PIAA.
Yeah, there's according to the PIAA president and the information he sent Dan, that's the shortest gym allowable for PIAA sports is the 74. We could play varsity sports in there if we had to. However, with the capacity and the space between the walls and stuff, we probably won't. But yeah, Dan triple checked that for us, so we have it in writing from PIAA that we're leaving.
And the 50 feet is also.
Yeah, 50 feet wide is
50
more
feet, we got
more
the
important. That's what Dan got worried about. He
Or
didn't think it was
3-point lines on this side.
correct. Exactly. So he got a little panicked when he saw the one drawing, And, but we went over and checked it out and made sure. And
It's not nearly as panicked as I got.
yeah.
I could hear your anxiety in the email.
Well, they had the address right, and then it just went downhill from there.
Just wanted to make sure that was,
To your specs.
Yeah,
To your-
so-
we've all been working on that, and I give Dan, a nod to Dan. Cause he came over and was looking, and I invited him over, and there's an assistant AD,
Scott.
Scott, yeah, he was there too. They were both coming over and looking at. One of the things we were looking at, we were gonna try to do, in your new gym, they have 6 posts where they can put posts in for volleyball. We were trying to see if we could do that same configuration we have in your gym there. I think it's at the senior high, that new one. We can't because of the way the configuration of this gym's a little bit smaller, so we're gonna stick with five insets to set posts in for your gym, for your volleyball net. So that's how, one of the things that got this started. We were trying to make it work for everything, but with the dimensionally this way, it just, the building's not big enough to do a little bit.
It's not big enough for 2 volleyball courts.
All right.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
So I understand there may be an issue with some insulation or something like that. How's that being resolved? You know, Larry?
Well, I've sent an email to the architect. I know Tom was pretty, he wants that, it's something we gotta look at. In the drawings, it doesn't say it's to be insulated. On the exterior walls, where the lock, what was in,
Everything below the windows has no insulation.
yeah,
And
There was-
it's not on the drawings. And you can feel the cold air coming in. It's a brick, a speed tile, and the back of the lockers. So I appreciate if you don't let them glue those tops in,
okay.
because they can get in there and they can put dense pack in, but it is not in the contract. And that's just bizarre. So about 25% of our exterior wall there's no insulation in it.
Can you blow that insulation in? Don't they
Well,
take?
there's 100 ways to do it, but we would have to, the only choice now is to blow it in from the top.
Yeah.
But you can take the lid off and you can blow in dense pack into that and fill up that void. But that is definitely not on the drawings.
Or in the specs, we looked. I mean, that was-
So the question, Larry, that, and I'd like for you to sort of investigate a little bit is, that insulation wasn't on the drawings or in the specs.
Mhm.
Is there any other insulation that should be there that may or may not be in the drawings or the
Well,
specs?
the main concern is are they putting the insulation on the outside of the metal building, of the gymnasium? It's supposed to be.
On the outside, the exterior?
There's supposed to be interior insulation, plywood, 2.5 inches of insulation, and then it's supposed to be 2.6 inches of insulation continuous on that building.
On the exterior, above, yeah. Okay, I'll check into that.
Okay. And we didn't look at those drawings when I was there, but I'm concerned that they're not even doing that.
We're building this building. One of the issues in today's world is insulation is relatively cheap compared to the energy
Savings.
that you have to expend to heat, cool, what have you, the building. And so we want to make sure that, the proper amount of insulation is in the building before it's done.
I will check with the architect and the GC, general contractor,
And the drawings.
and the drawings, yeah. Yep. There are, any other questions or points of interest?
The lighting in the classroom hangs down, and it's an LED light that kind of loops, and it's you can definitely hit it with a baseball bat. I doubt a kid can jump up and grab it, but it is hanging down, and it is an LED fixture. It's a specialized fixture. It's not a bulb or anything.
So in the classrooms with 9-foot ceilings, they've been set in the bottom of the light at 8'2". Now, we do have classrooms with 8-foot ceilings we gotta address that issue, because obviously it's gonna be low.
Well, when you say low, it's gonna be.
Less than-
It's gonna be less than.
What are
Yes.
these? From here to the installation, or the, whatever it is, the
What
time.
did you say, about 8 foot?
Yeah.
8 foot.
No, it's not 9 foot, 8 foot.
8 foot, 8 foot, yeah, I'd say 8 foot.
So are these lights like inviting to hang stuff? Is that why it came up? That-
We're not gonna hang stuff.
No, I know that. No, right. My question was, does it look like something you want to hang something from? Is that why-
Like it on
the list.
Yeah, I'm just,
You're gonna
I know
throw
on my other,
ribbons over and.
I don't have
drawings.
We're not-
It just,
if you look back from one of my other
Beautiful
report,
for
I'm
Christmas
sorry.
decoration.
No.
So if you look back through some, I don't have it with me, but some of my other reports, I might have some on my tablet there of the lights. You can see what it is. If you'd like to see it, I'll look it up and show
It's not
you.
a giant deal.
But I put it in my report. I've sent pictures out with the lights. We don't, they're, sometimes people like to hang stuff on
Sure.
there. I would strongly recommend not doing that. I'll just leave it at that. Anything else?
yeah, don't forget a ramp at the shed. You need to get a mower into that floor. It's not-
They actually got the dirt. It kind of, it's a little closer, but it wasn't like when you saw it. It was like 8 inches or so to the,
Yeah, well, they got a problem because the wooden floor, they got dirt up against it, so
yeah.
figure it out.
They're gonna find grade that and stuff, and ramp all the shit. I'm gonna ask them about that. Couple of things I have. So on the drawings, it shows, well, which I don't have the drawing, but anyhow, there's where your rubberized area is here. There is a playground area, and on the drawings, it shows lines and stuff on there. However, we can't figure out who owns doing that. I mean, they can put it on, that's no problem. I've sent an email to Anthony, I haven't got a response, but if, in that rubberized area, which I know I've sent pictures of it out to you guys.
Yeah, we know what it looks like.
Okay, so in that area, do you want lines put on it? That's something we should probably think about,
The lines would be for the kickball field or.
or
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah, there were some lines on the drawings, I'm surprised.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was one of the questions that we are wondering what your wishes would be if you want to have those done. And, let's see, pedestrian gate, yeah, that's all I got. I told you about the fence coming Wednesday, and there's a pedestrian gate and a vehicle gate. That's, oh, one more thing. The gym, and this was talked about at the last meeting, the gym wall surface, it's currently a metal panel. And we talked about, change, it's in this area here, you know, where the gym is. It's a metal panel, we think that's gonna dent, well, we're pretty sure it's gonna dent with basketballs or whatever you might be doing in there, so. They're recommending a reinforced, drywall in there, so that'll be a change, or if you want metal panels, you know, we'll,
David, has the senior high haven't dented panels?
Dents all over the place.
Hmm?
There's dents all over the place at the high school.
yeah. Well, we expect that
I think
Same
it's cool.
thing gonna happen, what's
I
that,
like the look of that. I think it looks neat.
of
The dents.
the dents, okay. Well, I'm just throwing it out there, whatever you guys wanna do, I just wanna let you know that that's a question that we have.
Make a decision.
Any other questions for me?
What's the committee think about the metal panels or the drywall?
If it's already in the senior high, then see,
Yeah, the dents are probably coming from baseball and softballs, not basketballs.
Other basketballs too.
give
Basketball,
good
Tennis
character.
balls.
well, let's try the plaster then and see what happens. Dave can always fix the plaster hole. Yeah, any objection?
Dave's okay with it.
Okay.
You want to move forward with
Reinforced,
not using the metal panels, but the,
My recommendation would be to at least get a budget number.
Well, it's already no cost change
What's a no-cost change?
to go to the reinforced. It's on here.
Oh.
Do you
So,
sell the
two
metal
there.
panels? What do you do with the metal panels? Sell them or give them?
no, they're not part of the job yet. Or is giving us a no cost change.
Okay.
Then I'm indifferent to it.
Yeah, I am too. I'm indifferent.
Okay, well, You okay with the green plaster?
Yeah.
Okay, then that's what we'll do.
Drywall.
Impact resistant drywall.
Yeah.
Good luck. Okay, anything else for Larry? Okay, thank you, sir. You want to sit around for these change orders?
Yeah, I'll stick around.
You're up.
we have 4 change orders on the agenda. We just talked about the one. Number 2 is for the drywall. So we are good on number 2. Number 1 is a $3,941 change order to change some plumbing around the existing boiler from K&K.
That was, is there permission to?
Yep. Oh, so
There's a, the old backflow preventer that was in the school was in disrepair, and there's a meter associated with that and some other, fittings to get that where it was at. And actually it was located where you couldn't, where it's currently the data room. So it wouldn't work too good in there. So we had K&K, or, that as K&K could put the backflow preventer for the boilers down where you could work on it, down in the mechanical room, down at a elevation where you could work on it. So the one you had in there was in disrepair, wasn't functioning properly.
Dave, you okay with this?
And there's a meter associated with that.
Okay. What about the next 2?
the other 2 are more part of our security system at Eisenhower that's going in. The first one is to install outside speakers across the building, both in the front and in the back, in case there is an incident and we have kids outside, or if it is at arrival or dismissal. Anybody who is out of the building can hear what's going on is the same as what people are hearing on the inside. We felt that was an important upgrade to the system overall. The second one is just to install wiring and cabling, as we have kind of went through the building multiple times, both with the people who are installing the security system. Aaron's been there. I think Mike Travis has been there, just to where do we want card readers? Where do we want, how do we want the flow of traffic to go through that building? So that's a result of those conversations. And it is to install a system that is exactly like the one we have at Ben Franklin, trying to be consistent across the district.
So did the original security system plan not have the external?
I don't think it was to the detail that we have gone.
That sounds like a no-brainer. Like, how do we don't have speakers for dismissal and all that stuff outside anyway?
Not
No.
currently, no.
Did Bubba?
I think Bubba had reviewed it with us as well.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely sounds like something that should have been included. I was kind of curious how it got missed. Like, because we even talked about, outdoor playground having those lanyard things, for outside.
They do.
Yeah. I thought, for some reason in my head, I thought we already talked about speakers, but maybe not.
No, the original drawings have no outdoor speakers.
Yeah, we talked about it, the original drawings did.
Yeah.
On the drawings, we have 2 sets of car doors between the wings. They get installed.
They're not installed, but they are on the drawings, because that
So
was
the
one of
drawings
the.
are gonna happen.
Yeah.
That allows us to shut down a wing or to isolate the 2 wings, which I think is important. Very good. Anything else?
Nope, not on the change
Can we let
orders.
Larry go home?
Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
Thank you, Larry.
The other items as far as Eisenhower, I know we've been talking, and I think some of the committee members were receiving emails about the landscaping. We want to have that conversation now.
I want to bring it up. I don't think we need to have a conclusion. But one of the,
shade, is that what we're?
yeah, I'd like to get more shade on the south and west wings. There's some lawn out in front of those windows that will help with the energy and make the place seem a little more friendly. Right now, there's a lot of rubber. It's the largest installation of rubber, I think, in the world right now. But there's a couple opportunities to put some trees.
It's kind of ironic next to the tire place.
Yeah, they're probably about it
rubber trees.
Yeah. So I'd like that to be looked at again. We have kind of 5 trees along the border fence, and that's about it. Also, I've had I've flagged the red maples that are out front along 2 streets as not being great street trees. So we want to I'd like that to get looked at again.
What's wrong with red maple?
What was the issue with them?
They're vulnerable to salt and road damage. So I'd like to get a tree that's a little more tolerant of that situation. It's going to get a lot of salt off the sidewalks. So, and that's the only shade trees we have. So I'd like to see that looked at again and an increase in the number of trees inside that playground area. I think it'll make the playground more friendly or cooler. It'll help cool the building off.
Just a general question, how expensive is a tree if we add
Depends
5,
on the
10
size.
trees, like,
Depends on the size.
well, shade tree would be,
If you bring in a pin oak that's 7 feet tall, it's gonna run you $200. Because it's more putting it in the hole.
just so we don't break the bank.
No,
Yeah.
no. And we make a more friendlier place.
Sure.
I think it makes a better environment. It'll help shade those windows too.
So he's gonna get back to us with ideas or?
It hasn't gone
Oh, it
past the
didn't go
committee.
past the-
Yeah, if you're okay, I'd like you to approach Tony about looking at it.
Jared, make it pretty.
Okay. And then we have the Eisenhower School sign.
I put the sign part on there. I'm not sure who put the / name on there. I don't know.
Oh, because we have an opportunity of renaming. So, we could name it. Jared Pearl.
Elementary school.
Yeah.
We
But,
name the school.
what?
Rename the school.
It just, right now, there's no name on it. We can leave it Eisenhower, and then we need graphics for it as well.
I'm assuming there was the sign out front is not set to be changed at all. And that's why I put that on here. But I believe there is signage on the building itself scheduled to be called Eisenhower
Yeah.
Elementary School.
I don't know why we want to change it.
Yeah, I thought we had talked about that.
We had talked about it early on about not doing it.
In general, I'm against changing history.
Okay.
If we build it from the ground up, we can name it whatever we want, but we're rebuilding Eisenhower.
We've been calling it, yeah, I confuse everybody else.
And I was told that Eisenhower's grandson's a professor at Gettysburg College. We can invite him to the rededication. Okay, so that's off the table.
What I put on there was the old sign that is still out front of the building. Do we want to change that and get a new sign?
It's kind of iconic.
It's also kind of old.
Is it gonna fall apart?
I believe it's supposed to be lit up, but I don't know that I don't know when the last time it was lit up or if the power has been cut to it now because of so much of the work out front.
Yeah.
So it currently doesn't have power to it. And again, it's not set to be moved or to be changed. It's going to be re-landscaped around, I believe. But it is a smaller, and it's not, to me, lining up with the building. It lined up with the old building, which is completely changed. So it's just something, not a decision that needs to be made tonight, but is it something that we want a new sign outside of the building when it reopens?
You're gonna have extra brick.
No, that's a problem too. We'll bring that up later. I've been using solar lights on these signs now. That they actually power the sign lighters.
And we can do it. Do we want to explore options of what a new sign would look like? Or do we want?
I would like to see a side by side because I don't even know what the old sign looks like. So if we
We can get a picture of
get
it.
some ideas of what the old one looks like, because I can appreciate how the old sign might not line up with the building behind it. If we just redid.
Nothing like those hospital signs. Oh my goodness. Like that one that has, what's the one that when you drive in now, it's like, who did that?
It has a fountain on it?
We don't need falling water coming
Yeah,
out.
that's crazy.
No,
Oh,
no,
my.
nothing for the children to play.
It seems like there should be like
It's
somebody
like-
selling
It's
drinks
like you
underneath
think
that
there's
thing or
gonna be a
something.
Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
New swimming pool?
Okay, so we'll defer that and see what we do.
Yeah,
We'll get your pictures and draw.
Yeah.
Something simple.
Okay, senior high roof ladders?
Yeah, I after we talked and took a look at the the roof. I've contacted our vendors to reprice the cost of putting a hatch in where we talked about at the top of the stairs up to the catwalk. So I don't,
To get to that middle roof.
to get to that roof, yes.
And then the others are
auditorium
just
roof.
pretty straightforward ladders.
Yeah.
Except the ladder to the gym roof,
The gym, yeah, we haven't,
the old gym roof.
right. Yeah, that wasn't part of the original quote, so I have to get a price for that as
Okay,
well.
so that's still underway.
Yeah, so once I have those numbers, I will share them with the committee.
Okay. Derek, can you do solar?
It was requested that we participate or get ideas from a solar company for senior high to install solar panels at the senior high and maintenance garage. This attached, and there's information in your packets. Every board member should have a packet for the buildings and grounds, and they're given an envelope or folder there. But the results of their studies are on there. I don't know how much, we don't have a whole lot of time to go through them thoroughly tonight. It's something maybe we could cover again at our next buildings and grounds, but the studies are attached, and again, you guys have copies basically showing the results of what could be in place at these locations and what it would cost and what savings could be.
The high school is behind the fence above the football field in the dirt on the ground. And the bus garage is behind the bus garage between the bus garage and the park on that hillside.
How long does a solar panel last?
In the last 50 years, produced 80% of its power.
Right.
So it's a downgrade, but in 50 years.
I didn't know it was that. I
Now,
thought it was
you know,
only like 10 or 20, and it says it's 20 years to pay back.
Yeah, it's, there's an inverter that has a shorter lifespan.
I bet that's best case scenario by far.
It's like 25 years, or 50 years.
Yeah, I doubt it. Can you imagine if a hurricane whoops through the road?
Well, there's no moving parts and it's all
I don't believe
photovoltaic, so it's not a.
And I will say this, I attended a conference on this, and the people that have done this study for us said that there's a lot of government money to pay for this up front. So about 50% of the cost will be covered through the government, through their initiatives to encourage school districts to look at solar. And then you can get another 50%, so 75% of the total cost, up to 75%, could be paid for through grants and opportunities through there. So, and then you earn the savings on the back end as well. So there is an opportunity. It's something we should at least consider. I don't know that I can guarantee those costs for you or those savings for you, but they seem pretty positive that there's a lot of money right now for the solar project.
Yeah, for 350,000, I'd like to see where it is in our matrix as
Yeah.
far as.
Yeah, we just got this. I haven't had a whole lot of time to take a look, so I don't have a
Yeah,
recommendation.
And this is an opportunity that is recent.
Mhm.
The tax credits weren't available to nonprofit government agencies, and now they are. And they're form of rebate check.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen 2 years ago.
Yeah, if it's really something we think we're gonna move forward with, it'd be nice to have a representative from the company come in, do a presentation, talk us through it, what the process would look like.
Okay, so we'll take a look at that in the future, in the new year at some point. We have architectural proposals for the renovation of the science classrooms and the childcare suite. We need to figure out if we're going to move forward with this project or not.
I would vote that we do move forward with this project. If this, specifically the child care suite, we were tasked with trying to see if that space that was going to be renovated, if it was going to be worth, the juice was going to be worth the squeeze, so to speak. And, with the new movement with the ICTC, agreeing to move forward with that Rising Educator program, and us being the satellite host site for that, we can pretty much guarantee that, the space is going to be used thoroughly. So it would definitely justify, the cost of $160,000. And a lot of those fees and those prices will be shared among several districts, because it will be an ICTC program. So we already wrote a grant for $75,000 through the ICTC for some of these things, some of the costs, the initial costs of this. Some of the technology we didn't write in actual construction costs, but costs of part of the teacher, costs of the Promethean boards and those kinds of things that are going to go in there. And we are optimistic that we're going to get that grant, but regardless, either way, we already have the teachers dedicated to the space. We already have a space in the building. You all toured it. You saw that, what a confined space that is. If we're going to do this program and do it right, it's probably worth the investment.
And he's got verbal commitments from 2 or maybe 3 other districts that might.
Yeah, Purchase Line, Penns Manor, and Marion Center have no interest in doing their own satellite site at this point. So they, United and Homer Center want to explore doing their own satellite version as well, where they would keep their own kids through the ICTC program.
So do they kick in money to use our space? Is that?
Would they if they don't use it?
No, I mean, if they're not doing their own, are we getting anything out of it for them coming to us?
Yeah, so there's one of 2 different billing ways that we could go about this. One would be if the ICTC
Like
owns the
Nations.
program, and which they do. And that cost of running that program that is divvied up and run through a
ICTC.
formula for participants. So the number of seats you get versus the number of seats you potentially could have times, et cetera. Or we could do it like we do with Penns Manor. Like we send a student to Penns Manor, they bill us for that child per minute. Based on how many minutes that child is in that program, on what it costs them to
They clock in
operate.
there. How's that work? Per
It's
minute?
from the time that they get there until the time they leave, how much that costs them, they send us a bill and we pay it. So those are the 2. So if everybody comes to our satellite site, I think it would be the first formula.
Yeah.
If it comes where only this school and that school are sending, it would probably be the latter, but we still have to work that part out. But regardless, we're going to get some, funding from those participating schools to help pay for some of these costs. So.
What about the science rooms?
Yeah, the science rooms, I think, they're on the matrix. We talked about the importance of it. They do impact a lot of kids. I mean, every single child takes science class.
Is there anything above on the matrix right now?
Let me see.
I'm all for both of them, but it's just expensive.
Yeah, the science about 250,000 is the furniture.
The air conditioning is currently above the air conditioning. Well, the air conditioning for Ben Franklin East Pike, which is very expensive, that's $7 million. Air conditioning at the new gym in the old gym at the senior high, which is $1.5 million. The junior high roof, which we did not get that grant that we applied for, that information came out last week. So, if we wanted to roll that into the ESCO project, we could. That's at $700,000. I agree with Dr. Schaefer, would probably need to take care of that. And then the science classroom and childcare classrooms are right after that. So now the impact on students, they score very high,
Right.
but
Well, I'm all for it.
Okay, so the first step today would be to
recommend,
authorize the hiring of an architect. And we'll talk about the 2 architects submittals in the executive session, I hope.
It's on the agenda.
Yeah, okay. Very good.
I-
Anything else?
For that science rooms, I'd like to try to get Dr. Kopchak, who's an Indiana native, and donate all that money to IEP at least to give some input of, things, current trends. And he's one of the top in his profession. So just give us next time, one of the times he's in town, just to come over and look at it.
what do we need?
What are some ideas and trends?
They're happy to reach out.
Yeah, the staff has gone over it pretty extensively at this point. Not that the analysis and advises isn't useful, but it's, they were heavily involved in figuring out what to do, what they needed in those spaces. I was surprised they didn't need permanent hoods. They're using a portable hood, which is much, much cheaper. But they teach it. Those 2 rooms are being used for more of a basic science and not the chemistry labs. Okay, any additional items?
No, what's going on, is the sound system at the high school gym? I know it has not been working. Is it in the process of being fixed?
Yeah, they're coming this week to fix that.
Okay.
They'll be here this week.
Someone just asked me over the weekend, so.
Yeah.
Way to stay on it, Dave. Anything from you while we're here?
Nope.
I would like to recognize Dave and his efforts here in this transition. You know, you've been doing an outstanding job, staying on top of everything, and we really appreciate it. So, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Just keep the snow away.
Yeah.
Well, I was telling my staff today, I'm a little concerned. We have new head custodians in every building since the beginning of summer. So this winter is going to be a test to see how
Their first one.
their first winter.
And that's what I'm talking about. I mean, you had so much transition, so much turnover,
Yeah.
and, you know, even, you know, the principals have talked about the work that you guys have been doing. So kudos to you and Rob.
Dave has been extremely responsive.
I appreciate that because sometimes I feel like I'm not. So it's good to hear that I am. So thanks.
I'm sure sometimes it feels like you're just spinning your wheels in mud. But, we're impressed.
You
Yeah,
made it
Keep
in
it
an
up.
hour.
Thank you.
What?
You made it in an hour.
3
You
minutes
didn't
to
do it.
spare.
4 minutes, I'm
Three
gonna go to the
minutes, 2
restroom now.
minutes to spare. Yes, 2.5 hours.
Wait, you guys didn't adjourn?
An hour.
Julia,
I'm ready. I'm done.
Julia, I told you he could do it if he
You
set his
can
mind
if
to
you
it.
decide to do it. Not-